Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whenever you are. Welcome to today's live broadcast of The Kev Baker Show, right here on Truth Frequency Radio, your number one network, www.tfrlive.com. And of course, I'm coming to you from Smart City, Glasgow, right in the heartland of Scotland. We're going all the way from America to Australia and everywhere in between. Now, today is going to be an absolutely epic affair, and I can safely predict that because today's special guests are Evan and Stephen Strong, all the way from Australia. We're going to be talking about our alien ancestry. Now, if you were here for the first show we done with these guys, it really raised the bar around here. It really did. And some of the feedback that I've had since that show, it's been overwhelming. Usually when you have a podcast, some of you might not realize this, but usually people only reach out to tell you the negative. Only it was exactly the opposite when I had Evan and Stephen on the last time. I think they're doing historic work, and I don't say that lightly. I think in the very near future, these two guys and some of the people that they're working with will become very much household names. That's the significance I put on the work that they're doing here. And like I say, we're going to be talking about our alien ancestry. So what's that all about, I hear you saying? Well, it says here, for thousands of years, humankind has asked the question, are we alone? From the likelihood of how enormous this universe is, and the virtual infinite worlds that are, surely at one point, one of those worlds held life as we know it. Many can agree with that there is extraterrestrial life, but few dare to answer the question, have they visited Earth before? Our alien ancestry explores that question from every angle: archaeology, paleontology, recorded history, witnesses and contactees from all over the world. Every month for a full day, there will be a panel of seasoned researchers and experiencers to bring public awareness to one of the most important topics known to humanity. Our team started as independent investigators and witnesses wanting to show everyone what we have learned over the years, specialising in our own fields of alien contact, and with the aid of the internet, the choice was simple. Each passing conference, and there's one coming up this weekend, folks, we'll be talking about that more in a moment. Each passing conference opened new doors to people from different backgrounds. However, many mentioned the same thing repeatedly: the prophecy. All cultures have spoken about it, added their names and twists, but the core is the same. There have been many over the ages, however, the peculiarities of modern days have added credibility to this event or series of events. The world is destabilizing. Our paradigms will crack and fracture under the realization of one thing: they are coming back. Who is and why? That answer leads back to an ancient time where humans and aliens were equals. We share a history that most have forgotten, and the purpose of these conferences is to illuminate the shadowed unconscious memories of humanity and help desensitize everyone to the otherworldly presence. And it helps us to remember who we are, ladies and gentlemen. So without any further ado, let me go all the way down under to our very special guests. I am elated to have you guys back on. Seriously. Thank you so much for giving up your time early in the morning. I know you can't spend the full show with us today, but I'm ever so grateful for your time, guys. How have you been doing since we last spoke?
Good. Just all we can see is a white screen.
Okay.
So
Can you see us?
yeah. That's what we're wondering before we started because we can't see anything.
Okay, hang on. Is that any better?
No
but
change.
the good news is if we don't see you, I can't see me in the corner of the screen. So that's a bonus. So if we just have to do it blind, I'm happy with that.
Well, I can see you in absolutely HD vision. You're looking great. It looks at this end as if my camera's coming through there. But regardless,
so-
it's going to look cracking for YouTube, guys.
It's actually easier without seeing me there. I much prefer. I don't like looking at myself in the morning or the afternoon, any time of the day. So this is going to be more fun.
No, this is going to be really good. And like I mentioned in opening there, you're going to be doing chapter 9 of our alien ancestry this weekend. I was very lucky to attend chapter 8. It really blew me away. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about what's going to be coming up in the conference and also some of the work that you've been doing on top of the information we covered last time. I know there's more skeletons have turned up. You've been doing showing off some new rocks as well, which are mind-blowing. So, Stephen, I'm just basically going to come to you, and I'm going to ask you, where do you want to start, brother? Because I'll take your lead. I can go anywhere.
Where do we want to start? Look, I suppose what I'd like to do is, to begin with, you said something before about the fact that paradigms are falling and crumbling. I think it's really important that one of the things we've done, I think we read this last time, is we read a Hopi prophecy, and we do relate, we always try and open with Hopi prophecies, Mayan prophecies, and original prophecies. The reason being is you need to understand that the planet we have today is not a division of races, it's a division of lifestyles, and really the lifestyles on this planet have either been sedentary or nomadic. And we seem to have wandered from one form to another, and one's taken over for a period of time. But what seems to come out of this, our understanding is that every time our technology and our so-called wisdom, scientific wisdom, overstates itself, the civilization falls. And then we go back to a period of living as hunter-gatherers, and then we start this process again of trying to live in a society where we're trying to balance fighting against nature, spirituality, and also living in a new construct, which is sedentary, I suppose. And what we believe is that's been the cycle. I know the Hopi talk about 4 bowls, and I believe that that's very close to the truth. And what gets difficult is that it's been difficult for us too, because all the way through these, all the way leading up to that December the 21st ceremony, we were never convinced that this was going to happen. And I think we probably mentioned that last time, and we certainly mentioned it every other time. And the reason being is that what we're offering people is something that is beyond the scope and understanding of any mortal on this planet, and certainly way past our pay scale, I can assure you, simply because it's based around this. Whether you call it the fast-flowing river, whether you call it, the Mayans call it the 2 roads, what they're all saying, and what that ceremony did was they're saying that time is now here. And it's, a lot of people will say, well, this is ridiculous, but you've got to understand something. Really, the question should never be about whether aliens actually exist on this planet and whether they've been here for a long period of time. And of course, we're going to mention some stuff that was found in America that backs up the fact they were here. That's not the question. The question is why. And that's what I think is really sad, because there's been so much argument about whether they've been here, which is a pointless, ridiculous argument, because all the authorities know it's true. What that's done is stop us come to the real question that we needed to ask as to why aliens, whether it's from Sirius, whether it's from Pleiades, whether it's from Andromeda, it doesn't matter. My question is, why did they sacrifice their home? Why did they spend all their time coming here? And what do they gain from this? It's got to be a two-way equation. And that's the part I think is really important here. My understanding and our understanding is that this particular event that the Indigenous people have known about and never lost is a combination of humans and aliens reprogramming and resetting this planet. I believe, and we both believe this, that the Pleiadians were the ones who actually seeded Uluru. They're the ones who placed the crystals inside it. And they're the ones who passed on that prophecy to the original people. And for me, I'm comfortable with all those things. I'm comfortable with the prophecy part, comfortable with the fact there'll be a change. What I'm never going to be comfortable with is what that change actually is. And primarily what's supposed to happen is that the world is going to divide into two paths. Now, I know when you say that, you're probably thinking, well, that's pretty damn obvious, but I've got to be honest, late last year, I couldn't see it. I mean, there was talk about COVID and nobody really knew what was going on. But what seems to have happened is that now the world is divided into two paths. My wife said to me, where's the happy path that we're supposed to be on? I said, oh, no, I think that comes at the very finish.
Yeah, no, that's not now.
No, everyone's saying, where's this wonderful path? I want to walk down this path with flowers and birdies and wombats wandering along with us. Well, it's not like that. What's first got to happen is you've got to see the path that you're on is wrong before you can find another path. And if I can give you one major example, for the people, and many people today are saying they've heard what we've said but aren't convinced. Now, you've got to remember that mainstream knows that this ceremony was going to take place and they did everything they could to stop it. And that includes on the day that we did the ceremony in Uluru, as we mentioned before, we had Jetstar and the Northern Territory government combined together to lie and bully and deceive people, to stop them. So all the way through, there was a game of fear that's been played up. And we spoke to people for many conferences over the last years, telling people there would be a pandemic and they would be using it fearfully.
You know, I think a lot of this as well, and I love what you're saying here. I look at the whole universe as being frequency and vibration. A lot of the misinformation, the confusion, the crap that they're telling us, a lot of it has been designed to instill fear in people.
That's it.
And fear is definitely a low vibration. And just the other day, I had a guest on, Jimmy, who was pointing out he'd been keeping his eye on the Schumann resonance because of you guys, what you'd been saying the last time. And he sent me the graph. It had been absolutely off the charts at the beginning of this week. And for me, it's almost as if they're trying to combat the raising of frequency and they're trying to bring it down.
That's the whole point. The Earth is lifting its frequency and humans and the cabal within it are trying to drag the frequency down, and they can do it. The Schumann resonance can give off all the energy at once, but if you're in a fearful place, mate, it doesn't make any difference. You will not be charged up by it. They are aware of this. They know this ceremony is coming. And to an extent, all the different archaeology we've found is part of that particular story. It sort of runs together. And that sort of leads us to something I did want to talk about, because I'd like to talk about some of the new discoveries of what we're going to talk about when we do our next conference. And one that relates particularly to the station you're feeding, which is the American station, is the discovery of aliens in America. You know that we've got our aliens, the flat-headed skulls, and we call them the no-forehead skulls. And you know about those ones in Australia. We assumed they were the only ones ever found anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then we found a couple in Australia, but before we knew it...
We're at 99% sure they're Pleiadian. Now, there are two continents where the Pleiadians were very strongly present, Australia and America. You've only got to ask the Hopi or any of the indigenous people. They will talk about the blue Pleiadian people with a special talk and a special reference to them. But what people don't understand is that we found 4 and the Americans found dozens of alien skulls. And what I'd like to share with everyone right now is an article that who found it? Was it you or Mum?
We still don't know who found it.
We don't know who
it just
found
magically
it.
appeared.
Yeah, November the 1st, 1930, which is even before I was born, and it's a long way back, okay? And basically what it says is many human skeletons found on a farm near Bradfordsville, which is in Kentucky. Now, what we find interesting in that story is that a group of people, a farmer, And this farmer is a well-known farmer. That was put in the article. The words are well-known farmer of Bradford several days ago. So first of all, we know this farmer is not a hippie with nose rings and smoking dope all the time. We're okay with that.
They had that in the 1930s, but
in the 1930s they actually did. And then they brought fear around and started a world war and it all went away again. The 1930s to begin was an enlightened period, so they gave us a depression and a world war to shut us up. They do this all the time.
Hold that thought, guys. Hold that thought. We're on the break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second part of today's Kev Baker Show with Evan and Stephen Strong. And we're talking about our alien ancestry. And just before the break, we were in Kentucky. We're talking about how there's been aliens in Australia and America. And this story that you guys uncovered, I don't know which one of you's found it, but
we don't know.
I'll hand it back to you because we got to the point with the farmer. So, Stephen, take it away, man.
Okay, this farmer is well known, and what he was doing with the aid of several men, so this wasn't done on his own. So if he constructed this, he had to have a group of people creating this fake, and that's what people are going to think. They were filling in a swampy spot near the door of a barn, and then bones appeared. And they looked at these bones, and they started to be quite surprised because this is the description of them. They found the bone skulls were of exceptional thickness and that the teeth were far above the normal. And the most important part was their heads were flat and they had no forehead. That's the part that stood out like a sore toe to us because our aliens have got flat heads, no foreheads. They've got incredibly thick teeth. The teeth have 3 roots that curl outwards like that. I don't know how you'd pull them out because they wouldn't come out. Everything about the alien we had and that description in 1930, it's the same thing. No foreheads. And what's interesting is it goes further. It tells us that 3 doctors were called in, okay? Not just people walking down the street. Dr. Wilson, Dr. Wilby and Dr. Campbell were told of the discovery, went to the scene and then compiled a report.
But they were also buried in a special way as well.
Yes, they were buried in a very special way. They realised this is quite different. And they mentioned that they were of major interest in this. Large rocks were placed loosely behind and underneath them, and then the head rested on a piece of mica. Now, this isn't just chucking some people that are mutants in the ground because, oh, my God, look at these guys. They've all grown without a head.
Mica isn't common to that area.
No, it's not even in that area. So there's some real ornate burial. Now, what's really interesting is Dr. Wilson has written to Dr. W.D. Funkhauser. Quite a nice name, that one. It could be, yeah, I'm in 1930. It could have been one of those few dope smokers. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, he's a noted archaeologist of Kentucky, and it was sent to him. And we did some research, and we found out, yes, he received the papers from the 3 doctors, but he didn't go and chase it up. He didn't touch it. Just like the situation in Australia. Now, Dr. Wilson wrote to him and said, hoping there was a possibility the discovery may be of value in his field. Well, you know, he's probably found about 40 no-forehead skulls that year and probably 60 the year before and another 40 the year after. He probably didn't have time, did he?
No.
So many no-forehead skulls that have nothing above their forehead at all. It just slopes backwards. They probably just didn't have time to fit it in. Now, what that proves to me, ladies and gentlemen, is what our job is when we do our presentations. And I'll give you a clue of one other thing we're going to put up, which is new. We bring new information and we have to sacrifice ourselves to the empirical God. And we have our other people here. I mean, Freddie Silver will be doing the same thing as us, but our other 2 won't be doing facts. They'll be talking about the road ahead. And we have to do that. Because out there in mainstream land, where we're all living at the moment, all they're doing is bombarding us with facts like the one about the blood clot, but not bombarding us with facts about the fact that nearly all of us are going to get sick. They're selectively bombarding us with facts, and we've got to do the same to fight that. Because everyone that we speak to, I'm a school teacher, I've been a principal, I know what schooling is about. It's not about answering questions, it's about memorizing answers. Well, you know, it's very difficult for people that are taught like that when the answers are given to you by mainstream and they're told, you know, stick this in your arm. Be prepared for the fact you're going to feel sick. Be prepared for the fact that down the line you'll die. That's okay. It's all right. But we'll stop the virus. And that's the best part. The best part of this story is in Australia, everyone thinks when they get the jab, they don't get the virus. And it was funny. The day the jab started, our Prime Minister came up and said, oh, yeah, the jab's really good. And then he told everyone something, and I swear to you, to this day, 90% of the people still haven't heard it. He said, number one, when you get the jab, you'll still be contagious, you'll still catch it, and you'll still get sick. But the good news is you won't be as sick as you would have been if you didn't take it.
Yep.
So they've done science on that. They've worked out how sick you would have been, and then they've done science to work out that you'll be 1/5 as sick as you were, because they've done all the science to predict how sick you would be. So that, to me, is a fascinating story about the fact you've got a situation at the moment now where mainstream are doing everything they can to make the world fearful. We've never been this fearful before, ever. Now, ladies and gentlemen, number one thing you can take heart in is for those people who think this story about the no foreign people that we have, and we know they're aliens, and we've explained before why they are. Well, it's not just a freak of four in Australia. They're found in America. And by the way, this is a massive burial site. They actually only dug 15 feet into this and found 14 skeletons inside 15 feet. And they said there were 2 mounds that went for a long, long way. And they just broke into one of them. This is not a couple like we've got. This is a massive tribe of people that don't have anything above their eyes. You can't see anything because the skull slopes backwards and runs downwards. They are not us. And they're in America. They're in Australia. So when people hear this story about aliens being here, we don't try and convince you with UFOs. We try and convince you with bones and metal objects we've got that have metal that's not found on this planet. We're giving you empirical evidence of the highest order. Now, one other thing we are going to do, every time we do this, as you know, you love that particular picture we put up of Glasgow, the War of the Worlds, where we had all the lights coming down. Well, what we do each time is we bring in new pictures. And we've been holding back on this one, haven't we, Evan?
Yeah.
We've been sitting on this one now for about 4 months.
Yeah.
It's now ready to come out. Now, what we said at the start is the one thing I hoped when that ceremony took place. There's the one from Glasgow, the War of the Worlds, they call it. No, it's the War of the World.
War
Guys,
of the
you
World,
really got
yes.
the spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the new one you haven't got, and we'll be putting those ones up because new people will come in and won't see it. So for those who've seen this before, bear with us. There'll be 5 minutes of repetition, but don't worry. At the end, we have a new one. And that's the one I didn't want. The one I didn't want was a UFO flying over Uluru because that would have been too easy. But eventually, we had to put it up. And we've put up some pretty strong evidence. As you know, we've put up pictures of the light exploding out of Uluru at 7:32. We put up pictures of Bosnia, golden halos of light coming down. But what we haven't put up is a picture of a UFO flying over Uluru at 7:32. Well, that will be the new one that comes up this time round. So for those people who've seen the other stuff, well, just put up with it. Go and have a quick coffee break or a toilet break. But at the end of it, after we do all the other stuff, we're going to put up a couple of new pictures and a couple of quotations from different people who are involved in this. But the one you're going to have some problems with is the UFO flying above. Because don't forget, as you pointed out before, the Schumann resonance did peak and started and has continued peaking ever since. And it started then. We know that's true because it went up 100-fold. We know we've got pictures of earlier exploding in light, and we'll put that up again. But what we haven't put up yet is of the UFO flying above it. And we knew it did, but we have to put it up. And of course, I know that the people who don't want to believe in this will say we photoshopped it, won't they, Evan? Oh, yes, we did. We photoshopped it.
This guy who can't even phone a mobile phone.
Yeah, I was the one who did it. I photoshopped it. Yeah, I'm the one who can't even. I've got to do an interview later, and everyone's had to set it up for me because I can't set anything up. Yeah, we photoshopped it. No, but we didn't, because these photos, we didn't take any of them. They come from all over the world at 7:32. And look, when people say nothing happened on this planet on that particular time, you're wrong. You're wrong. The whole of the solar system exploded at that time. As we now know, NASA has told us, Mars has moved off its axis. Neptune's spinning the other way. And within 2 days of the 21st of December, we had an earthquake of 9.7 and 9.6 at Antarctica, and it's the largest earthquake ever measured on this planet. So don't tell me something didn't happen, because it did.
And Stephen, I think now as well we can add Uranus to the list, because it's giving out X-rays, I've been told. Seen an article. I'll send that to you right now, guys. I've seen that earlier on today.
I know about Uranus. Yeah.
Scientists discover X-rays coming from Uranus, and it says the finding could give scientists a better understanding of the ice giant. And if I send you, I'll bring it up on the screen here. You can see the picture of it. I'll send you the article as well. There you go there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So,
well, we'll include that.
Yep.
We'll include that in our presentation.
That came out on the 3rd of April. That's 5 days old.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's happening to what that's showing to us? It doesn't matter where you look. Something massive happened with that conjunction. And remember, people say, oh, but there was a conjunction in 1222. But no, there wasn't, because this was also the solstice as well. You had the sun, you had the moon, you had everything working together at this particular moment. And it's created something through the whole of our solar system, but in particular, it's created something on this planet. And this is basically, and I do use this quote from Muse a lot from one of their songs, this is the last chance we have to save ourselves. This is what this is all about. And I like that particular line, because what you need to understand is that this is actually your deal. You can tell other people about this. You can get down on your hands and knees and beg for them to listen, but you can't make them listen. But you can make yourself listen. And you can make your own decision. And the way you conduct yourself might inspire other people to say, well, why are you so relaxed? Why are you always smiling? Why aren't you fearful? That persona might get people to start wondering what's going on. Your role in the next couple of years, and I use that term advisedly because it's not 5, it's less than that. Your role is to be a role model of non-fear. I will never drop myself into a conversation. And if people are having a conversation about COVID and speaking fearfully as they do, step in, explain to them, walk away from this, guys, it will kill you. What it'll actually do is the virus will actually do something worse than kill you. If you let this virus take over your head, it means that you leave this planet for a long period of time. You cannot incarnate here anymore. And that the beings that you've been with, that you might feel comfortable with, some of them will, and you won't be with them because they're staying and you're going. So this is worse than death. This is banishment for a long period of time from your home. And I've got to remind you of something. In original society, if you broke a sacred law, do you know what the worst punishment was?
Getting ostracized, kicked out?
Yes, not death, not death. The worst punishment you could be given is to be ostracized, because what that meant was that when you die, your soul could never return to its homeland, to its tribal estate. And a person would say, if you were being punished, please kill me. I know that people might think, what are you talking about? No, that's the way they believe things were. Please spare me to death. Let me die on country. I've made a mistake. I'll come back and I can fix it. But whatever you do, don't let me go.
So
That
guys,
would
can
be
I ask a
horrible.
question? It might seem really stupid, but do you know at all, A, why the aliens came here? And B, why this big change is now? Was it always going to be at this time, or has something happened to make it this time? Can you answer that at all? I know it sounds silly.
No, it doesn't sound silly. In fact, it's the most important question there is. Why they came here is really the story of everything. It's a story of this humanity. It's a story of our history. Why they came is because this planet, and I'm going to quote from something from an article I saw in Nexus once when an interview with an alien that said, you don't understand, this planet is massively, amazingly different because it has trees. Trees. You've got to understand something about this. They said planet with life is common. Planet with trees are rare. This planet is different. It is possibly the most magical orb there is in the cosmos. And they came here to create, I know this is going to sound like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, isn't it? Yeah. They came here to create an experiment. And the answer is not 42, I'm going to tell you that now. What it is, this is a place where when they came in, you've got to understand something. There were at least 100,000 years ago, 11 different types of hominids running around the countryside. Now, Homo heidelbergensis, Denisovans, Neanderthals had larger skulls than us, larger brains. Get over it, ladies and gentlemen, we were not the smartest. But my understanding was Homo sapiens of all the hominids were the easiest to incarnate into and the easiest to genetically change. And that's how humans came into this experiment. And that is why, if you're asking, why did all the other hominins, the Neanderthals that had hot water systems in their villages 80,000 years ago, the Denisovans that made jewelry that you would buy today and think is stunning 60,000 years ago, and what were Homo sapiens doing? Dribbling in caves. But our genes were different. And we had one link. We were never the smartest hominids on the planet, but we were the most magical. So they came here, and they came here to create an experiment where all different types of beings from all over the cosmos could become part of this experiment. They could incarnate into us. And it was an experiment that's supposed to reverberate throughout the cosmos where all the different beings, be draconian, being reptilian, or being whatever, could find a way to live together. And when you look at this planet we have today, ladies and gentlemen, we have 7 billion humans on this planet, and no two of them are the same. No two are similar. This is the planet where, when you talk about pictures, and they do pictures of aliens from elsewhere, you get a standard picture, a bit like when you get a standard picture of a chimp. They all look roughly the same. But when you come to this planet, no two humans are the same. This is an experiment in diversity, in a way of trying to get all different types of beings to live together in harmony and in peace. And that's what this has all been about. And what they've tried to create, all the incarnations that have taken here, whether you're fully Homo sapien, partially Homo sapien, part Pleiadian, part lizard, it doesn't matter. All beings are equal in this regard. And what it is a chance for every type of being to evolve on this planet. Now, the drawback with this planet is when you become part of this deal, every time you come here, the beautiful part is you forget everything. So this is what makes it a fair playing field, because you don't come with preconceived ideas of why I'm here. You just come to see if you can learn to get on with each other. And what do we see right now? We see things like there's been 2 protests that have become very strong. Black Lives Matter And in Australia, we're having massive protests about women who are sick of being raped for some reason or sexually molested. I don't know what their problem is.
In our Parliament House, no less.
Oh, in the Parliament House, they're getting raped in the Parliament House and stuff by parliamentarians. And the Prime Minister said, we've got to stop this. This is no good. We'll have to fix this up. It's just part. But what we're seeing there is the two processes, one about race and one about gender. We're all equal. It's funny how those two have popped up now. This is part of what we're trying to do. And once this time is finished, those that evolve cannot have in them 1 ounce of prejudice, be it colour, be it gender, be it the fact that some people might have what's called a disability. It doesn't matter. What we have to learn that every person on this planet is equal to every other person. And whether you're a doctor or a cleaner, and right now with COVID, cleaners and checkout chicks have become important people because sometimes they keep us alive. Everyone's equal. So that's what this is about. And the purpose of this planet, of us living here. Now, some of us kept that secret. The Indigenous people kept that wisdom. And the non-Indigenous people, the one who walked away from nature and started building, making buildings, going the Atlantean way yet again, they're less contact with that. Now what this is called the event. That's what they call it. This is a time for every person, every being, no matter what they are, to realise we have to make a statement about how we live on this planet. And if we can't make the right statement, the planet will evict us. And that's what this is about. You yourself, you're not throwing yourself off the planet. The planet is moving you. And that's what I really love about this story, because all the other stories of the change, and if you watch in Hollywood, we see all these changes through catastrophe where most people get killed and wiped out through some natural event.
And then some rich people find a bunker or something.
Yeah, and they come back out and start the whole thing again. It's not like it this time. This is completely different because you don't get the choice. The planet does. And this is what this is about. We're learning for the first time. If you want to talk to God, talk to our planet. It's part of it. It's the right hand of God, and that's why they've come here. Our alien ancestry is a story, and it's a story about the Earth, and it's a story about why have these aliens been here for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, and given up their homeland for the greater good of the cosmos, and every one of them, and that's why they came.
Is that why there's like 7.6 billion people here right now? Is that why this planet's so populated to witness this event, to be here, to be tested for it?
Yep. So that there are as many different souls. And look, you know yourself, everywhere we go now, everyone comes up to us and says, I'm on the Pleiadian ship. We actually have 3 captains from the ship that crashed.
Whoa, guys. No, now you're giving me goosebumps, like literally. I said to you the last time, I think, that there's Uncle Donny, Aboriginal man, who I felt uncomfortably familiar with. I couldn't put my finger on it. And Donny came back to me and he said, we've walked together a couple of times. And he gave me a chance to kind of remember myself, and I couldn't. So it took weeks, and it was always kind of in the back of my mind, there was like a block there, why something uncomfortable. But finally sat down with Donny and Auntie Luna, and turns out one time might have been in the 1700s. I was a French dude. But more importantly, Donny says he remembers us being on the ship. And they call me Captain.
Oh no, we got another captain,
That's not me. God. That's not me saying that, guys. This is from like two.
No.
Yeah, it's like when you said that
look,
there, the
I don't make fun of it.
Man.
I don't make fun of it because I think what's happening is all these people have had these repressed memories for a long time. They've never come out. Now they are.
Well, now I'm
That's
freaked
why I
out.
don't laugh about it. But like, it's funny how you said you were on the ship too. You've got to remember there were many ships who've come at different times, and some crashed, some didn't. They've been coming for a long
Well,
period
I
of time.
fell out of this one, Donnie says. He tried to catch me, and I fell out of it.
Well, that could have been the ones that crashed, because we know the stories about the ones who crashed, particularly the ones in Australia. There were quite a few that were shot down and crashed. And that's part of our history too. You see, the sad part of the story is that if you steal a planet's history, which they've done, they've lied about everything that's happened on this planet. So we don't know our roots. We don't know our mistakes. We're told that basically we are at the pinnacle of existence, that we were groveling around in caves. There was no earlier civilizations. There was no Atlantis, no Lemuria, no nothing. And where we are today, we started in a ball of amoeba. We crawled out of that, and we are here today on our own, and that's the whole story of life in the cosmos. Well, that is just such a pack of lies, and what it does is it means that we can't evolve. That's why there has to be a change, because when you steal our history, even Winston Churchill said this, if you steal a nation's history, you destroy their future. Now, I'm not a great fan of Winston Churchill in many respects, but I'm going to give him credit. He's got that right. And this is what this is about. When we do our presentations, we go back to the past and we explain to people, well, yeah, it's our alien ancestry. Yes, there was Atlantis, there was Lemuria. And more importantly, the two questions you get from that is, what did they do wrong? What did we do wrong then? And what can we do right now? And why have they come? Well, you've just told me. Why have they come? Well, you were there. You were part of the group that came here. And a lot of us were. I mean, I make a joke about the fact that every second person we met says that they're Pleiadian, but I don't laugh at them and say what a silly thing to say, because in most cases that's probably true. And it's not for me to make that decision anyway. It's their story, not mine. So, yeah.
Hold that thought, guys. Hold that thought. We're on the top of the hour. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'm freaked out by this, I'm telling you. We'll be right back. Hour number 2 on today's very special broadcast with our good friends from Down Under. We've got Evan and Stephen Strong here with us today. And they're the guys behind Forgotten Origin, the Out of Australia theory. And more recently, they've been really concentrating on our alien ancestry. And they've got their latest chapter coming up this weekend. You can attend that anywhere in the world. It's an online conference. Stephen, how do people find out more about that? Is it ouralienancestry.com?
Evan, what's the address? It's in the toilet at the time he's getting ready to go. Oh, God. This is done live. It's ouralienancestry.net.
Yeah,
that will get you to that. And the reason why we did sort of want to finish talking about that, because the first 7 shows we did last year, we're trying to get people to convince themselves to give up their time in the middle of the night normally to meditate. And we got 15 million people involved in that. And that was great. And a lot of people thought it was over, but it's not. Because what we're trying to do now with these particular conferences, yeah, we're going to start each time by giving information and make people believe it happened. Then what we're trying to do from now on until the change, we're going to keep doing this each month all the way along. We're not going to let this go. Is we're trying to give people, A, information to make them believe this is true, but B, clues on how to walk into the fast-flowing river that the Hopi speak of, the 2 roads that the Mayans speak of, because they're there. And in the first conference we did after, which was done last month, we had elders on. We had elders, regional elders, talking about this and their reactions with it. And we had 2 women on also, 2 psychics, Sol Rita and Leah, talking about their reactions to what took place. Now this one, we've done blackfellas and we've done women, but we didn't do white men. So we're trying to finish off the story, because what we did is we chose 3 people who were doing presenting at the conference, the Cosmic Consciousness Conference, which was on Honolulu at the same time, coincidentally. And we're going to ask them to talk. Now, Freddie Silver, we've asked to come on because we want to do the world again. We'd like to do an overview of the world because this is a global concern, not just Australian. We do Australia, he does the world. Then we've got 2 other people we've asked in. And this is different. The people we've asked in this time round are not doing science, they're not doing archaeology, they're not doing anything like that, and they're not doing channeling and all this sort of stuff. We've asked one guy that spoke there, his name is Craig, and another one that's Nick, and they're both males. And I'm going to ask them to, they're both going to be asked to talk about, they were there on the day they did the conference and they did the ceremony, how they felt about that. But then why I asked both of them to talk is, one is a life coach, and the way he spoke when he gave his presentation was different to any life coach I've seen before. And I don't listen to him much because I'm not that interested in that. But I felt like I was listening to an American Indian, someone, Navajo, Sioux, or someone like that, because I love the American Indians. When they make statements, philosophical statements, they're short and sweet with very few words, no big words, and they are really succinct.
I've got a lovely Native American friend. He's from the Anishinaabe tribe. Yeah. And he was on with some people from Australia last time, and we were kind of reconnecting the tribes. And it was amazing because he was talking about how there was a gentleman called John, who from Australia had travelled to America to meet the Anishinaabe tribe. And it turns out there's a bit of a crossover there. The languages were kind of similar, the ceremonies were all similar. How can there be that familiarity, Stephen, when you're separated by the world, you know?
Well, we've got some more information. We're not going to talk about it today, but some genetic studies were done in America quite recently, a major set of genetic studies, and they found out that everyone in America, all the American Indian people, have original blood in them. So they're linked. They're linked. I mean, you got to remember there are original skulls in America that go back 50, 60, 70,000 years, and now they've done more work, some more genetic work recently, and followed up some work they did earlier, and they've found out the genetic genome, the original genome, is all through America, through all the tribes there. We are all linked together. We are all linked together, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely. So, yeah, that's no surprise because it's part of a global story. We once had one language working through the whole of this planet. But my concern is this road that's ahead. I'm going to tell you now, mate, the majority of people are on this road at the moment that are already booked on the road are female. I've got some bad news for the men here. We've got an issue with testosterone, and it brings up a side in us that we're all familiar with. It is no use on the road. It will not get you at a mission at all. You've got to learn to control it. And what we've decided to do this time is we've got a life coach that's going to make these, sort of very pithy, 1, 2 word, 3 one-line sayings of things to remember. Then we've got another guy that originally was on the other road and is now on the right road. And I want him to tell a short half-hour story about his anecdotal life, and the other guy's going to do it differently and talk a bit longer about ways of making sure you get on that road. And yes, ladies, we aren't including you in this one. We did last time, didn't we? We had 2 women then. But don't think you women are completely free of the male disease of anger and annoyance. And one of the things that men in Australia have learnt is we never use one word in mixed company. We don't use the 4-letter word, do we, Evan?
No. Unless and we don't cry unless it's about cooking. We can cry on a cooking show.
Yeah. Oh, you can cry when your team loses in the footy.
Yeah.
But the word love is banned from the male vocab. We don't use it. If we have friends of ours, we can call them mate, can't we?
Yeah.
But we can't go further than that. And what men in Australia have learned to do is we don't discuss anything that's emotional, right? We don't do these sort of things. We let the women do this sort of stuff. Unfortunately, gentlemen, I found out the rules of admission onto this road. Some of our habits are not going to help us. So we are choosing men this time to talk about how men can get on this path, because at the moment it is very, very heavily populated with women. And we've got to learn this. Oh, look, I'll give you a great example in the time we've got left. I gave this yesterday too in another talk. There's a guy we've worked with a lot, and we've had him on. His name is Harry's. He's on a show that goes around the world called Bondi Rescue, and he's a lifesaver. And he's been doing this for 25 years now, and he's quite well known around the world because that show goes everywhere. And he's an interesting human being. He's a male, but he breaks all the male rules because he tells everyone, all the people he meets, and he says it generally, he loves everybody, and he tells them that. And even when he's on the phone to me, he'll finish by telling me that he loves me. And I've tried to explain to him, we don't speak like that. You can say you're a good bloke. That's acceptable, isn't it, Evan? We can accept that, but we don't use those sort of words. We can use it to our wife or girlfriend occasionally, not too often. We don't want to give ourselves away like that. Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that's not going to cut it. So one of the things you've got to understand, it's okay to say for people listening and saying, yeah, I want to be part of this. I'll get in that river. I'll jump in. Well, if you jump in and you don't have the right swimming equipment, you'll drown. And you've got to understand at the moment, a lot of women find this road really easy to get into, and for men it's going to be harder. So we're going to be...
Mind you, it might be a bit difficult for, say, someone like Hillary Clinton.
Yes, I've got to make that point. When I say
There's
women...
always an exception to the rule.
Yes, mate, I've got to make the point. When I say women, I mean women. I don't mean women who've become men, because they're worse than the men who are becoming men. So I'm not including Margaret Thatcher, Golda Meir or Hillary Clinton in my concept of what a woman is. They are actually men. I don't care if they've got breasts, they are men. I mean women that are creating, creative, nurturing, that bring up children and love them and understand that word love better than men do. No, that's what we need. We don't need the others. And you've got to understand, if you get on this road and you join us, you do realise at the end, when the change comes, the women will be running the world.
Do you know, like, do you know when you're on the road? Is it like, is it obvious?
It is, I think, to an extent, mate, because you start to feel, you get this feeling of what I call whatever. When I think about things like the prepare for the post-jab side effects, and I read about all the lies there, I could get upset. I could get angry and say, this is wrong, and I could write some comments and attack people on Facebook. But instead, we don't do that anymore. What men have got to learn is this. If someone comes up and calls you a dickhead or calls you an idiot and calls you all sorts of things, you look at them, you don't give them love, as some people tell me, because they're not giving you love, and it's past that anyway. You just look at them and you say, whatever. If that's what you feel, fine by me. But that's okay. But when you walk away, you tell yourself this: I don't care what was said, and I'm not going to react. Once you can get past the stage of reacting when people say things you don't like, and you learn to change the channel and walk away, then you're on the road. But while you're getting annoyed at things that are taking place out there, because it's not going to stop, they've got control, they own the media, they own the companies, they own the army, and they're not going to stop now. You've got to embrace that, and you've got to say, bring it on, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I can't go to the movies with these people. I'll live, I'll get through it, I'll watch a video. We will manage, but what you can't do is emotionally invest yourself in what is happening around you. So all these things we talk about the fact that 1/3 of our heads go crazy when we get this jab. I could get annoyed with that, but I don't. because that's the choice other people make. It's not mine.
So
I'm
listen,
just
guys, I'm going to be
away.
totally honest with you. I've been honest with my audience all the way through. Am I screwed because I had one of the jabs?
No, you're not. And that's
I'm
something
being
I want to
serious
make a
here
point
because
because a lot of people are saying that. That's crap.
it's
That's
something
crap
that's
to
been in the
say that.
back of my mind, Stephen, ever since I got it. More than side
No.
effects, it's whether it's going to affect something bigger, you know?
No, it can't do that because what that can do, at the very worst, I've heard Steiner say it's going to separate the soul from the body and stuff like that. No, all it can do is perhaps push you in that direction, but you still have control. You still have control in this. I mean, okay, these things may have physical side effects, which they do, and they may have psychological side effects. But Jesus, man, every day that we have those things on us anyway. No, I don't believe, and some people are making stupid statements like, if you've had the jab, you're done for.
Yeah.
You can't come. That didn't come from us. That's rubbish. It means nothing. It's all to do with what you know, what you think. It's nothing to do with physical stuff. This is just another minor hindrance. If you encompass the fear, if you encompass, I'm not going near you because you don't have one, if you encompass all those things, it's the trapping with the jab that's the problem. And if you just take the jab and say, whatever, okay, fine, I'm going to get on with it. I don't like the stuff. I think it's rubbish. I don't believe in this stuff. Then you're talking the same way. Nothing's changed. You're not going to be marked on whether there's a mark or pock mark in your arm. That's got nothing to do with it. No, makes no difference. It makes no difference. This is all about what you know about what's happening. Because this jab stuff, this is just a symptom of something that's going through the whole of this planet anyway. Okay? No, you can't be judged on that. You've got to be judged on the next 3 years, on everything you say, everything you do. I was told this way back. You will be judged on how you finish the race. You'll be judged on how you hit the winning tape at the last day, not what happens in the days before, which means we can still get angry and annoyed with people, and that's still okay. But if you are angry and annoyed with people, be aware of it. Be aware of it and say, oh, that wasn't great. Okay, I fell in the race, I tripped. Now I picked myself up, and next time that person or a person says that to me, I'm just going to look at them and see through this and realise it really doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks now. It's just a matter of what you're doing. If you can turn that jab into a whatever, where I don't attach anything to it, oh, I've got one. I didn't want to take it, but I've got one. Well, there you go. There's a lot of doctors and nurses that have got to take them. They don't have a choice. We can't punish people who've been forced to take it or coerced to take it. It's what you do after you take it.
That's what I've said to people, you know, it's personal responsibility, whether it's vaccines or anything. And I've never said to anyone listening to the show, anyone that's been on the show, I've never criticised them for their view, and sometimes it's been totally opposed to what I think, but I don't know if I'm right. So I just let people have their own way, their own thoughts, you know?
That's the most important part. What you just said then, if you maintain that statement, if I don't know if I'm right, then you're in the right planet. You're on the right path. It's the ones who claim they know they're right that scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, same here.
That's on both sides. They're on both sides. They're on the side where we're talking about. Some people have become dogmatic about you've got to do this, you've got to do that, or you don't get there. Who gives anyone the right to determine another person what gets them onto the other side? They don't have that right. You've got to remember, in this case, we are judging ourselves. We are the ones we are waiting for, according to the hobby. So if you feel like since the jab, you now hate people more and you want to punch them in the head, then you've got a problem. You do have a problem, I'm going to be honest with you. But if you feel like when people come along, like you just said, I don't know if I'm right. If you're talking like that, if you're saying, I don't know if I'm right, that means you can't judge other people. And if you're not judging other people, well, guess what? That's the road, isn't it?
Absolutely,
it really is about that. If you stop judging everyone else and start looking at yourself and saying, I've got to get better, man, at the very least, you're standing on the sidewalk. You're nearly there, man. It's pretty easy past that point. because that's okay then. You're thinking properly. It's how you think. That's what it is all about. It's what's inside your head now that's going to judge you.
Now, guys, I know that Evan is waiting patiently there. He's got to get to work. Stephen's got another call coming up soon. So I'm going to let the guys let people know about the conference, where they can get the tickets, things like that. And listen, I watched Chapter 8, folks. It was one of the best online events I've ever witnessed. This time I'm going to make sure I see it live. I watched it after the fact last time, but I'm going to be staying up till all hours to watch this one, guys, honestly. So let people know, Evan, what they need to do, where they need to be, where they need to go.
Yeah, just sorry about that with the time difference. It never Australia to.
It's the least I can do for getting you guys up so early, right? I mean, come on. It's the least I can do. Give up a night for you, you know?
But yeah, if you go to our alien ancestry .net, yep, that's it. And then, yeah, you click on that. There's a little RSVP button below. And that will get you in there there we go. That's the one.
There you go.
And then that will get you a ticket in. You've also got a month afterwards to rewatch. So if for the poor people over in Britain, Scotland, whatnot, do fall asleep because it is your middle of the night, you'll have a chance to catch up on that.
And if you have a problem where you can't do it, you can't get on, contact us and Leah will get you there. And one person got really cranky with her last time, didn't she?
Yeah.
And we've thrown them off. They can't buy a ticket anymore. Don't growl at Leah.
Quite right.
Some people can't get on, and when they contact them, we always get them on. So don't worry and freak out.
Yeah, if you can't get on straight away.
Yeah, and if you're going to get angry and growling at Leah and really gave her a hard time, I feel like saying to that person, if you're listening right now, mate, you've got a lot of work to do.
But yeah, and it's $26. That's Australian. So,
which, yeah, that's cheap if you live in America.
Yeah, and other places. There's also an option if you go to the streams if people want to subscribe month by month. So that will allow, that's $15.99, and that will allow you to watch the previous ones, and then you just pay that every month, and you then can watch every one we do.
And the ones from before.
Yeah, and the ones from before. Yeah. So I encourage people to subscribe as well. But if they just want to check out the one and see how it is, you click on that.
Now, Stephen, can I ask you, is it okay for the final segment of the show if I go over one of your latest articles about the rocks?
Yeah, sure.
Is that, you sure? Yeah, you okay with that? Because I know it's like sometimes people are... Awesome, man. Guys, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing, not just for us here on the show, but this might sound a bit over the top, but for humanity. We need more people like you guys talking this way. It's funny when you said about the love thing, I'm going to totally embarrass myself now, but I've got a co-host guy that comes on to help me. Jimmy Jeans, he's called. And I don't know why, but today he's been helping me out a lot because of my health problems. I just randomly told him I loved him. It was the weirdest thing ever, because dudes don't do that. Dudes don't. Come on, guy. Dudes don't do that, right? Even Jimmy took a couple of minutes to kind of write back. I think he was kind of knocked out of his kilter, you know?
It's funny because I actually said that after I've been talking to this about a lot, I said to this person I was talking to in Adelaide at the time. My wife was there and she was so shocked I had a ring in my hand, the one that Evan broke and David broke, and she knocked the ring out of my hand and broke it again. She was so shocked by the fact I used that love word. Yeah, it's dangerous, isn't it, when it starts to sneak out of your mouth? You don't know
weird, man. It felt uncomfortable when I'd sent it. Yeah. But listen, guys, you're going to have to get going, but can I shamelessly say, can I get you back on sometime soon? We'll take a look at the rocks. We'll take a look at we can get into the Atlantis ring, stuff like that. I just love hearing what you guys have to say. I know the audience love both of you, and I can't urge people enough to go and check out our alienancestry.net. I wish you all the best for the conference at the weekend, guys.
Thank you.
I'll be there. No matter what time of night it is, I'll be there. But listen, thank you so much. I truly, truly mean that. I'm going to have a show coming up. We're doing a women's business show. Auntie Luna's going to be hosting that. She's somebody that would really love to contact you guys. So I think maybe on Facebook,
Great.
Evan, I'll put you in touch with her. And then
Thank
we're going to
you.
be doing
Terrific.
a men's business show with Donnie and a few of the guys. So all to
Good
look
one.
forward to. I'm enjoying this Australian path, I must admit. Guys, thank you so much. Ladies and
Thank
gents,
you.
I'll be back after the break. And Evan and Stephen, they'll be on at the weekend and they'll be back on KBS soon. Don't go anywhere.